The price of Bitcoin is $28,185, and it's looking like, honestly, today is going to be a very, very interesting day because of what is going on, first of all, with First Republic Bank tapping Lazard for help with a review of their strategic options as they potentially go completely bankrupt. And the other thing to point out today is about the stock market, because today is Fed Day, and it is a big one. The central bank faces one of its hardest calls in years: keep raising rates to fight high inflation or hold steady to help quell the worst banking crisis since 2008. That news is coming today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and then Jerome Powell is speaking at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I'm going to be going on live stream later today on my main channel, so join me over there. Today's already been a stupendously busy day, and the markets are already moving. So how are my current open trades looking? Well, I've got a couple of different trades open right now. These are not the only ones, but let's just give you a quick summary. I've got a Bitcoin long position. It's now $800,000 long position from 28,000, currently yielding a $4,000 profit. I've got a CTC open position here. It's only $24,000, really nothing to write home about. And the Ethereum long position of $259,000. I reduced that position by 50% in terms of its size because I couldn't sleep, and now that position again, I took a little bit. I mean, actually, to be honest, today I'm in less of a loss on that trade than what I was yesterday because I took some profits last night as before I went to sleep. Got only $300 in a profit. I've just been mitigating, doing some risk mitigation on those positions to ensure I've got decent entries on them, and we're lined up pretty well for when the Federal Reserve starts talking. Now, today I would suggest that everybody, if you are going to trade the Federal Reserve's news today, of which there's nothing wrong with doing so. I mean, I would encourage you to certainly look into it. And if you want to look into trading today's Fed news, watch this tutorial as soon as possible. You'll find it on the screen somewhere here. It'll just pop up on a little bar at the top of the screen. Watch that tutorial if you want to trade the Fed news. It's important that you understand how to trade and how these things work, first of all. But I would say, from my perspective, it looks somewhat like a long, however, it does get very volatile. You can end up with 4 or 5% swings in a 1 minute candle. So also trade it with a stop loss. Put your stop loss pretty much at your entry, and then if you get clipped, and then you re-enter. That's how I've managed to basically acquire $6,000 worth of fees here. This is not me taking a loss on the trade. This is me entering, exiting, ensuring that essentially I get the best available price. So if you think about it here, when the price is going up and down and up and down and up and down, I'm going, right, enter, or it's going to exit, enter, exit, and then I'm going to go, oh, it's dropped below my entry here, exit it all, apart from a little bit, and then re-enter down here, bring your average price down. You end up paying an absolute fortune in fees. It's one of the most expensive ways to open a position, but it does mean that generally you don't lose money because you get the correct position sizing. The only issue with that is my trade on Ethereum is considerably smaller than what it was yesterday. Yesterday it was like $800,000. However, I decided to switch it over to Bitcoin because I think that from the result of the Fed news today, we're more likely to see a big Bitcoin move than we are a big Ethereum move. And let me explain exactly why that is. Because essentially, right now, when it comes to Ethereum versus the US dollar, yes, we're looking at a breakout. But Ethereum versus Bitcoin is still suffering. It's not doing amazingly well. And if we look at this right now, like realistically, is this going to react positively from news from the Fed? It could potentially, but let's be honest, it's probably not going to react nowhere near as positively as an Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's more likely that Ethereum versus Bitcoin drops to the downside significantly after the news, and it's more likely that Bitcoin dominance makes a return to the upside, hence why I decided to switch back over to Bitcoin, because I think for the next 24-hour period, although if the news is really good from the Fed, I'm going to talk about how that could play out in just a few moments' time. But if the news is good from the Fed, we're more likely to see pumps on Bitcoin than we are in the altcoin space. And then over the course of the next week, we'd expect that money that is made on Bitcoin to then trickle back into the altcoin space. Trickle down economics doesn't work apart from in crypto, where it does work actually pretty well, to be honest. So on the topic of Bitcoin, first of all, how is Bitcoin trading? Well, you would say that, look, if we get an hourly close above the level of approximately $28,241, we should be in the money at that point. It should continue chugging to the upside around $28,500, which is this level here. here. However, if during the course of today's Fed news, we jump to the upside quite significantly, if I just move this scale to auto, there is a decent chance at this point in time that we actually do break through this level of resistance. My concern is that, look, the markets have not quite fully priced this in, and actually we drop to the downside if we have a 0.25% rate hike. Now, the two scenarios that happen today is either a 0%, if you see it comes out and it's 0%, no rate hike this month, you will see Bitcoin going absolutely crazy. You'll see it going up in a straight line. If it comes out at 0.25%, you will see Bitcoin's price just doing this, but not really achieving all of that much. And if you see it come out at 0.5%, wow, straight to the downside. We're going to get absolutely crushed, which is why it's important that you trade with a stop loss. If it comes out at minus 0.25%, we're in the money. We hit $100,000 Bitcoin. It's going to get crazy. Whatever the results of today's meeting are, it is going to get crazy. And in terms of UK time, I believe that 2 p.m. Eastern time is 6 p.m. UK time, or whatever it is. 2 p.m. Yeah, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I believe it's 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. UK time. Either way, I'm going to be on a live stream throughout the course of that. Currently, I'm positioned long. I think it's going to be a generally positive run up today in the markets. And let me explain why I personally expect that we don't actually see all that bad news coming from the Fed today. Because if we look at this right here, which is the balance sheet, oh, what have they done? Have they removed UBS's balance sheet? Why is it? Oh, no, they've not removed it. It's okay. Well, my point is, I don't think they'll increase interest rates by a significant amount, because a lot of these banks, when you look at the proportion of the debt that they've lent out, $371 billion worth of debt, basically half of that debt is locked up in mortgages. Mortgages have an interest rate applied to them. If the bank is to start paying more interest on those mortgages, they pass that on to the consumer. And if the consumer can't afford it, that increases mortgage default rates. Mortgage default rates on the increase mean that there are more people that are getting evicted from their houses. That means that the housing market will then crash, devaluing the value of houses, devaluing the value of mortgages, which is why I think it's unlikely that we see any major rate hike today. And I think if Jerome Powell does do that, the market crashes, the whole economy crashes. We go into a recession literally overnight. You'll see bank liquidations left, right, and center. You'll see the First Republic Bank goes bankrupt. Like, go back to this story here. First Republic Bank, if the Fed comes out with like a 0.5, First Republic is immediately bankrupt. They can't afford to raise the funds because other things like Lazard, they're not going to come and pay out. I mean, I wish we could read these articles in full, but essentially, it says here the First Republic Bank is up 29.47%. Let me show you what 29.47% actually looks like on a First Republic chart. This is what it looks like. It's not exactly, it's a little bounce off the bottom. This is not a full recovery in the value of the bank stock. When the market's open today, it's going to keep dropping. The markets look so bad right now for the banks. And yesterday they saw some relief rallies, but they're not going to see those same relief rallies today. It is highly unlikely. It's more likely that we see more banks going under as the week goes on and as time progresses. And then at some point, one of the big boys is going bust, whether it be Bank of America, JP Morgan, Morgan Chase, any of these things. Is Morgan Chase one? And I think maybe it's Chase Bank, and I'm confusing Morgan Chase with the crypto fund. I don't know. Either way, markets are going to get interesting today. I'm long on Bitcoin. I'm long on Ethereum. I'm long on altcoins. Don't really want to be long on those altcoins, but I also don't want to take the loss on those positions. Hence why I've added more margin to the trades just to see what happens. And then I'll wait for the prices to move, and then I'll dollar cost average in if I lose even more money. At the same time, on those Bitcoin trades, I'm putting very tight stop losses very close to my entry. I'd rather pay a lot of money in fees than what I would do get a bad entry, essentially. So it's important that you time your entries perfectly today. But on that note, guys, thank you all very much for watching today's video. I hope it's been useful. I hope it's been educational, and I hope you've dropped a like on it. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you're not already. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers here on the channel this year, so do drop a like, do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, watch the trading tutorial as well somewhere on the screen here. Have a great day. See you in the next video. Goodbye.